back to my channel. I am here today to talk about the new book releases that are coming out in September. I think I have about 20 or so new releases here. These are just my most anticipated ones, or ones that I found to be most intriguing to me. There are of course hundreds of books releasing in September. It's a really good release month, but I had to condense this somehow. So here we are with 21 or so books that I am looking forward to reading in September, or releasing in September. I'm not going to read them all in September. These videos always take me ages to film and edit, and they end up very long, so let's just get started. Let's jump into the first book. The first one I would like to mention is called William, and this is a psychological horror book set in a haunted house, and the house is actually haunted by AI. I've got no idea how that is going to work, but I'm very intrigued by the concept, and I'm thinking I could maybe request this from the library and get it in time for October. I'm really into haunted house books at the moment. I'm thinking about doing a project, a vlog in which I read a bunch of haunted house books, so stay tuned for that. I actually tried to do something similar last year and the idea got scrapped because I suck at vlogging. But yeah, anyway, this is one that I am looking forward to. There's also The Others, and this one is said to be a True Blood / supernatural crossover sort of thing. It's urban fantasy and it's the first book in a series. It says here that in this book, readers enter a dystopian San Francisco filled with empaths and vampires embroiled in political unrest. Book one is just the beginning. The main character seems to be a powerful empath, naturally. She meets someone called Elsa, who is a time walker, and Elsa kind of drags her into the urban fantasy underworld of the city. I think this one sounds really good, and I do really enjoy urban fantasy. I don't really read much of it nowadays, but it was definitely my favourite genre growing up, so I'd really like to get back into it if I can. And this one does sound really good. The Royals Upstairs. This is a contemporary romance about the royal bodyguard and the royal nanny. I don't know anything else about it. I don't really want to read much of the synopsis because I don't feel like I really need to, but I do think this sounds quite fun. I really like reading about rich people drama, and I think the bodyguard and the nanny will see a lot of that, so this one is very promising. Impossible Creatures is coming out in the US in September. This book already came out in the UK last year. I think it was Waterstone's book of the year. It's about a young boy called Christopher who finds a baby griffin and saves it from drowning in a lake, and then his life changes forever. I haven't read this yet myself, but I would really like to. The Waterstone's bookseller highly recommended it to me last year. I know it's their job too because it was book of the year, but I did trust their opinion, so I'd like to read this at some point. The Moonflowers. This one is historical mystery fiction. It says here that it's about an artist who unravels her mysterious family history, and it's generations of women who depended on each other to survive. It says here that Tig goes back to Kentucky because they have been commissioned to paint a portrait honouring their grandfather Benjamin, his contributions to the Appalachian, I always struggle with that word, and his unimpeachable war service have made him a local hero, but to Tig he's a relative stranger. Tig wants to talk to the person who knew her grandfather, Eloise Price, the woman who murdered him 50 years ago, and that paragraph, that's what got me. I am so excited to read this one. I'm going to see if I can get it from the library. I don't think it's going to be released in the UK to begin with, so I'm not sure I'll be able to get it from the library, otherwise I'll just get an ebook. The Examiner by Janice Hallett. This is the author of, why have the names of her books escaped me? I've read all of them. The Appeal and The Twyford Code and The Mysterious Case of the Alberton Angels. I got there in the end, I did have to look it up. And she is coming out with a new book, which I actually didn't know until like last month. Her books are all told in mixed media format. Emails, text messages, essays, pictures, that kind of thing. It says here, this one in particular follows a group of students in an art master's program that goes dangerously awry. Set at a university, something about a talented sculptor. It's apparently unique and exhilarating, which I do believe because all of her books have been absolutely fantastic, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. We Came to Welcome You. This is a horror book. It says here that a married couple moves into a gated community, but the neighbours are a little too friendly, so this definitely has like Get Out vibes. It says something about a pushy homeowners association, and the main character finds a journal in the property from a resident who went missing years ago and realises why they were able to buy the house so easily. This one sounds really mysterious, really thrilling, so I'm looking forward to reading it. Where They Last Saw Her. This is another mystery thriller book. It says here that it's a harrowing novel of a Native American woman who learns of the disappearance of one of her own and decides enough is enough. The main character is called Quill, which I didn't realise. That's quite funny because that's my husband's name. You don't really see that very often. It says Quill has lived on the Red Pine Reservation in Minnesota her whole life. She knows what happens to people who look like her. Just a girl when Jimmy Sky jumped off the railway bridge and she ran for help, Quill realises now that she has never stopped running. As she trains for the Boston Marathon early one morning out in the woods, she hears a scream. When she investigates, she finds tyre tracks and a lone beaded earring. I think this one sounds so interesting, so I'm looking forward to reading it. I haven't really read many mysteries with Native American main characters or written by a Native American author. There have been a couple, but it's definitely a genre which isn't very diverse at the moment, so I would really like to read this one. Haunt Sweet Home. I think this is a horror novella. I don't really read many novellas, but I'm willing to read this one because it does sound quite good. So it says that it's set on the set of a reality TV show. Staged scares transform into an unnerving reality in this spooky ghost story from the award-winning author. It says here the main character lands a night shift job as a production assistant on her cousin's ghost hunting home makeover reality TV show. I'm really interested in how those things kind of mix or align. It says here a series of unnerving incidents on set and a creepy new co-worker force Mara to confront whether the person she's truly been deceiving and hiding from all along is herself. I think this sounds really good, so I am going to read it. Speaking of horror novellas, I was actually approved for one recently, like a couple of days ago by Tor. It's called This World Is Not Yours, and look at this cover, it is so creepy. This is a space horror book, which is my favourite genre at the moment. I keep telling people. I'm not entirely sure what it's about, but the cover is creepy and it's about a hostile planet, so I think I'm going to enjoy it, and I just had to put it on this list and tell you about it because it's not showing up on any new releases lists that I have looked at, but obviously I got it from NetGalley and it's coming out on the 10th of September. Absolutely hyped for it, I cannot wait. Immortal Dark. This I think is a fantasy romance book about vampires. Really like the cover of this one as well actually. It's obviously a very different vibe, but I do enjoy it. It says here that it's The Cruel Prince meets Ninth House in this dangerously romantic dark academia fantasy where a lost heiress must infiltrate an arcane academy and live with the vampire she suspects killed her family and kidnapped her sister. Set at a university, I think I will really enjoy this one. The Gods Below. This is by Andrea Stewart, who is an author that I've read from before and enjoyed. This is the first book in a new epic high fantasy series by her. I'm not really familiar with the plot, and the synopsis on Goodreads is very, very short, so I'm not entirely sure what it's about other than it's about gods, because that's in the title, and that's kind of all I know. And then there's one that everyone, I think, is looking forward to, and that is Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. This is a sequel to The House in the Cerulean Sea, and I've just noticed on Goodreads actually the series has now been called the Cerulean Chronicles, so I wonder if there's going to be a third book as well. This is Arthur's story, and I'm looking forward to reading it. I do think I'm going to have to reread the first book first though, because I can't really remember loads about it. I remember the kind of overall plot, but I can't remember much about the characters, so I think I'm going to read that and recap it and then get into this one. Another sequel that is coming out is called Vilest Things. This is by Chloe Gong. I haven't read the first book yet, which is called Immortal Longings. That's I think they both are a retelling of Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, and I would really, really like to read the first one very soon because I've got a gorgeous edition of it and I've heard really good things about Chloe Gong's writing. This is her adult debut series. She's obviously written YA before, so I would really like to read this one, or the first one, and then read this one soon. Sky Full of Elephants. This is a speculative literary novel set in a world in which all of the white people in America suddenly walk into the nearest body of water and I assume drown, and then they no longer exist. It says here that the main character has served time in prison for a wrongful conviction. He's now a professor. His daughter calls him unexpectedly and they have never met. Unfortunately, she did have to watch her white mother and stepfamily drown and is quite traumatized by the event, as you can imagine. It says something here about the Kingdom of Alabama. I think they go there together, and so obviously America is now very, very different to how it was before. I think this one sounds very intriguing, so I'd like to give it a go. A couple of series enders are coming out in September as well. First of all, we have The Ending Fire, which is the third book in the Final Strife series. I've not read the first two yet, but I do own the Final Strife and I should probably get to it soon. I've had it on my shelf for the longest time, except I haven't picked it up because I'm gonna be honest, the book is quite chunky and the text is quite small, so I need to hype myself up to read it. I don't know much about the series other than it's a fantasy series where people are kind of segregated by the colour of their blood. Sounds a little bit like Red Queen, but probably better written. The other series ender is Goldfinch. This is the 6th book in the Plated Prisoner series, and I swear to God this had better be the ending to it. I've read the first 4 books and I haven't read the 5th one yet, and I really don't like this series, but for some reason I do keep reading them and recapping them. I do not care about Oren's story and I think these books are horribly written, but I'm going to read this one anyway. There's a book called The Scarlet Throne coming out, which is a YA fantasy. I think. It might just be adult fantasy, I'm not entirely sure. It says here that the main character is a living goddess chosen by the gods to dispense both mercy and punishment from her place at the Scarlet Throne. Her reign hides a deadly secret. Rather than channeling the wisdom of an immortal deity, she harbours a demon. I think this one sounds really interesting, and I think it's up on NetGalley, so I might request it. I probably shouldn't, but I might. The Night We Lost Him is a mystery thriller book which is coming out in September. It says here that it's about some estranged siblings who discover that their father has been harbouring a secret for over 50 years, and they have to kind of get together and figure out what was going on, I assume. This is by the author of The Last Thing He Told Me, which I read in August, and I thought it was okay. I'm intrigued enough by the plot for this one to maybe request it from the library or pick it up whenever I see it. I'm not going to pre-order this one or anything, and I'm definitely not going to buy it for myself, but I am quite intrigued to see what the secret is. Graveyard Shift by ML Rio. This is by the author of If We Were Villains, which everyone loves. I only gave it 3 stars, but I still want to read this book. This is a common theme for me. I think this is just a novella, and I believe it's like a horror mystery sort of thing. It says here that a ragtag group of night shift workers meet at a local cemetery to unearth the secrets lurking in an open grave. Sounds really good, so I would really like to give it a go, even though I didn't love If We Were Villains. Sleep Tight. This is another horror book. This one is a full-length novel. It says here that it's about the sole survivor of a serial killer who may be the key to stopping a series of brutal murders. Someone has likened it to Catriona Ward, whose books I haven't loved, but I would still really like to try this one. The 13th Child. This one is by Erin A. Craig, and I've not read anything by them, but I would really like to because I've heard really good things about their books. It says here that it's the story of a young healer named Hazel who is navigating a ruthless court to save the life of the king. Something about gods and death himself, so I'd really like to give this one a go. It's like a gothic retelling, I think, which all or most of her books are. And then finally we have The Unfinished, which is a YA horror book. It says here that the main character is a teenage athlete and she is haunted by the Black Water and the unfinished beings. It's based on Native American mythology, specifically Mohawk, I believe, because that's what the author is. And I really like the cover for this one. It's like mildly creepy, but not too off-putting. So I'd really like to give this one a go as well. And those are all the books that I would really like to read in September, or I would like to get my hands on one way or another. Let me know which September books you are anticipating in the comments below. Let me know which ones of these are most intriguing to you. Thanks for watching. I'll speak to you all in the next video. Bye.